What's up guys, Mizzo Frizzo from Pitchfork Academy here, and welcome back for part 10 of my how to make a multiplayer FPS in Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series. Now this part is going to be a relatively basic one. We're just going to replace the locomotion blend space of our character with a blend space that has some directional movement. So as you can see here, when I'm moving around in different directions, we've got a blend of directional animations that we are going to take from the game animation sample project, the motion matching sample project. And so these are the walking animations. They're not perfect, but they are a damn sight better than what we had, our one directional blend space. And if I just activate this time dilation that I've set up here, so I can also show you the running animations, because they're a little bit hard to keep track of in sort of at full speed. But you can see we've also got some running animations here that blend really rather quite nicely and are a lot better than what we had. So, obviously our characters are going to be running around quite a lot, and this, in a pinch, is a very nice setup and looks very nice indeed. So without further ado, guys, let me show you how to do this. Alrighty guys, the first thing you're going to want to do is fire up the Epic Games Marketplace and find the game animation sample. This is the motion matching sample project that was released for Unreal Engine 5.4 recently. So once again, if you're not working in Unreal Engine 5.4, you're not going to be able to follow along with this tutorial. You can skip this part of the series. So we're going to find this animation sample and hit create project. I'm just going to call mine anim sample and hit create. If you haven't downloaded it already, it will download and then create the project. And once it has created the project, you can go ahead and open up your project. And here we are in the game animation sample project. And if I hit play here, if you haven't seen this sample project already, it's very impressive system that blends between dozens and dozens of animations to give you kind of a smooth blending between different animation states. It doesn't actually use states, but that's just my way of explaining it. Now these animations are quite nice, but the blending method here, the motion matching method, is quite complex and very, very tough to set up as a solo dev. So all we're going to do is take some of these animations and use them in a traditional blend space 2D. And we are just going to use this project to retarget these animations onto our MetaHumans skeleton. So you will be able to delete this project afterwards if you want to free up some space on your hard drive, but just FYI, this will take up something like 7 or 8 gigabytes, I believe. But once we've retargeted those animations, you are free to delete this sample project. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is add the metahuman that I want to retarget these animations onto. So I can click this little cube icon with the plus and head over to Quixel Bridge. And if I open up the metahumans tab here, I'm going to scroll down to the metahuman I'm using, which is Trey right here. And I'm going to add this metahuman to my project. And if you're using any other metahumans, for example, I also have Lena for my light build, you'd want to add her as well. I'm not going to go through retargeting animations for each class. I'm just going to show you how to do it with one class. So I'm going to do it with Trey, and then you'll know how to do it. So you can go ahead and retarget animations for any of your other classes as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is find the folder with the animations, which is in, I believe, characters, UEFN mannequin, animations, and then the animations that we are going to use are in the run and the walk folder. So you can just go ahead and open up the walk folder, and you can see here near the top, we've got a walk loop B, which is the walk backwards. And then just in front of there, we've got most of the walking animations that we will need, right up to walk loop RR. So these are all the animations we are going to retarget. And we're going to look for these similarly named run animations as well. So we can right click on these and go retarget animations. You want to find your target skeletal mesh, which for me is going to be M tall normal weight body preview. Where are we? M tall normal weight body preview. So this is the skeletal mesh that my metahuman is using, but the preview version. So he's using M tall normal weight body, and I've just selected the preview version. And the next thing we need to do is find all of these animations that we need to retarget. So if I move this up here so I can see these walk animations, we'll look for these ones first. So I can scroll down to M neutral walk, and we've got loop, back, back left, back right, forward, basically all of these all the way down to loop R. And we also need to find these similarly named run animations. So they're going to be under neutral run, but first we've got all of these different shapes like box, diamond, hourglass. And if we scroll down below hourglass and below lean, you see you've got this loop back. And we're going to take, let's just take all of these running loop ones. These offset ones I'm not sure if we'll use, but we'll take them anyway. Everything from loop B down to loop RR offset. These ones are kind of about 20 degrees off from running directly to the side. You'll see what I mean if you open up these animations after we've retargeted them. So now that we've selected all of those walk animations and all of those run animations, we can click Export Animations. And I'm just going to create a new folder and call it Anims. I'm going to throw them in this folder Anims. And I'm also just going to put in this search here, M underscore, and replace it with mh underscore tray underscore, the name of my metahuman. So this is just going to find in the names of these animations the m underscore at the start and replace it with mh underscore tray underscore. I can hit export and leave these as default and hit export. And then the next thing we're going to need to do is migrate these to our FPS project. So I'm going to hit save all first. And once these have saved, I'm going to select them all and right click and go to Asset Actions and Migrate. And you'll see it will have selected a bunch of other assets here, Foley sounds for running around and cargo pants and whatnot. So the easiest thing to do here is if you did put these in a folder called Anims, they should all be right at the top here. You can just uncheck Game and it will uncheck everything. And then check Anims, and you should just be migrating just the animations here in the Anims folder and hit OK. And then you just want to navigate to the content folder of your FPS project and hit select folder. Now, don't worry if these disappear from the project here. It's just kind of needs to be refreshed, but it doesn't matter. Those have been migrated, so we can close this project and open up our FPS project. And as you can see, mine has opened up in the Anims folder, and we can see all of our animations here. But just before we use these animations, they are probably not going to be assigned to the skeleton of your metahuman. So I'm just going to select all of these and right click and replace skeleton. And if you've been following along, you should have a metahuman base skeleton that was duplicated and renamed with the name of your metahuman. So I've got metahuman underscore tray here, but if you just want to double check which skeleton your metahuman is using, you can go to your blueprints folder, first person blueprints characters, and I've got my classes here. I'm going to open up my tray blueprint, and here I can select the body skeletal mesh here, and I can browse to it. I can also open that up, and up here at the top here I've got this skeleton button, which you can see if you hover over it, it comes up with the directory it's saved under, and you can see that it's metahuman underscore tray there. I can also click this to open up that asset, and you can see my skeleton is metahuman underscore tray. I do believe you can also just right click on that skeletal mesh and find skeleton, under skeleton, find skeleton, and it will take you to that skeleton. You can see I've got metahuman underscore tray here. So I don't need that blueprint. I just need to go back to my animations folder, my anims folder, select all of these, replace skeleton, and select the correct skeleton that my metahuman is using. I can now hit save all. And if we open up any of these animations, you'll see that we've got some nice little walking and running animations for our metahuman. So we can go ahead and create a blend space with these animations by right-clicking, going to Animation, Blend Space, and select the correct skeleton. So for me, it's going to be metahuman tray. I'm going to call this blend space underscore tray underscore walk run, and open this up. And the first thing we want to do is head to the Asset Details tab here, and we can drop down in Axis Settings, Horizontal Axis and Vertical Axis. The horizontal axis, we can change the name to Direction. The minimum axis value will be -180 to +180. And let's change the grid divisions to 8 and switch on Snap to Grid. So that means that this horizontal axis will be the direction that our character is sort of moving in. The vertical axis, we can change the name to Speed. And let's change the grid divisions to 3, because if you recall, when we aim, for example, it's going to change our max walk speed. It's going to divide that by 3. So this is a very easy way to just snap the animations to the exact speed of our sort of aiming walk speed, like so. And we can set the maximum axis value to the maximum walk speed of our character, which for my medium build is 600. You just want to go into your build's blueprints. So in first person blueprints, characters, open up the medium build. And if we look in class defaults, where we set the maximum walk speed, you can see mine is set to 600 here. And if I open up the light build and go to the class defaults, I believe I set it to 900. Yeah, so dividing that by 3 when we aim, which if you recall, if we go into the BP first person character, when we do our right mouse button, we are setting the walk speed as our max walk speed divided by 3. So you want to set in your blend space, you want to set the maximum to the maximum walk speed of your character normally. And if you set grid divisions to 3 and snap to grid, it means that any animations that we place on this first grid division right here will be at the aiming walk speed. So the next thing we want to do is add our animations to this blend space. So we can open up the asset browser here and have a look. We've got our mh underscore tray underscore neutral run, and these walk animations as well. So let's start by actually adding our idle to the bottom row of this blend space. First, I need to check what idle animation this character is using. So I'm going to go back to my medium build real quick, select the body here, and then browse to the enum class here and open this up. We are going to need this in a moment anyway. I'm going to close these states that I had open from before. And I'm now going to close my medium build, my light build, my BP first person character. So I've just got my blend space and my animation blueprint open. If we go to the enum graph and we look for, it'll be main states is cached here, but main states uses locomotion within it. So wherever locomotion is cached, you want to break open this locomotion here, and the walk run is what we're going to be replacing with our new blend space. But if we go into idle, we can check what animation we're using here, and this is tray underscore mm. I've got a lot of animations here. Tray underscore mm idle, this one right here. So in my blend space, I am going to find that tray underscore mm. Whoops, if I can spell tray correctly. tray underscore idle, and I'm going to drag this out and I'm going to place it in the bottom in the middle here, and I'm also going to place it in the bottom right and bottom left hand corners. And this is just in case, our direction changes. We don't want it blending to some other animation if we've got some small change in direction. So this down here is speed 0, this is direction 0, and this is negative 180 degrees, and this is positive 180 degrees. So let's do our walking animations next. Let's find our mh underscore tray underscore neutral walk, and we've got all of these loops right here. So we can start with, well, let's just start at the very top of the walk animations. So we've got this loop B, which is loop backwards. So this one can be dragged out to here on the very left-hand side and here on the very right-hand side. And then we've got back left and back right. So back left can go here, back right can go here, forward goes right in the middle there. And we've got these forward left 20, and this is actually 20 degrees to the left and 20 degrees to the right, respectively. So we'll add these in a moment, but it's not really necessary. We'll have a look how it looks with all of the other ones, and then we can add them if we want them. We've got forward left, which can go here, forward right, which can go here, and then we've got here LL and LR, and RL and RR. And basically these are the difference of where his pelvis is facing. So sort of one of them he's bladed off to the left, and one of them he's bladed off to the right. And I have found that using LR and RR to be sort of much more, sort of falls in line with what he's doing in these other animations and blends a bit nicer. So we can grab LR and place it here, and we can also get RR and place it right here. And if we hold Control now and hover over this blend space, we can move around and see how these animations blend, and it looks pretty good already to the left. And if we go to the right, it looks pretty good. But you will notice that just between this sort of front right and the RR, if we hover here, it does look a bit odd right here. We've got this weird little sort of blend in the middle. And also if we go beyond the LR over here, we've got a similar thing going on right here. And there is something we can kind of do to mitigate this. It's a bit hacky, but it just basically, we want to blend to the next animation a little bit earlier in this range of degrees of direction. So how we can do that is we can actually just get this LR and, sorry, not the LR, the back left, BL, and we can blend to this BL a little bit sooner by putting another copy of it sort of here. And we'll do a similar thing with our RR, and we'll put another copy of it right here and blend to that a little bit sooner. But we'll do that in a moment after we've placed the majority of our animations, because then we'll switch off snap to grid and we can place those ones a little bit more accurately. So let's do our run animations next. If we find our run loop B, this can go in the corners here. So this is running backwards, and we've got our back left goes here, our back right goes over here, our forward goes right in the middle there, our forward left goes here, our forward right goes here, and then for our running left and running right, we will use LL and LR. I'm not sure if we'll use these offsets but we will use LL and LR right here. So let's grab LL and throw it here, and RL and throw it right here. And let's have a look how this is looking now. So again, we're going to get some sort of weird blending at certain points on the graph. So right here, and also should be just here. So just before running to the left, and just after running to the right. And it's just because of how these animations blend. You know, these were designed for the motion matching sample, but there are a few changes here that we can make to sort of mitigate this weird looking running. So let's switch off snap to grid on, actually we'll leave snap to grid on the vertical axis and we'll just switch it off for the horizontal axis. And the first thing we can do is grab our run. Actually, we don't need the 20 degrees run forward left because this already blends quite nicely right here. So what can we use? We can actually use this LL a couple of times and just put it 10 degrees either side of this 90 degrees right here. So we can get run loop LL again and place another one here. And we want one of these to be at -100 and the other one to be at -80. So this is just 10 degrees either side of 90 degrees right here. And this just helps to sort of blend more quickly over to that next animation. And it smooths it out a little bit. There's still a point in here where it can look a bit awkward, but the chances that your character is going to be running on this exact angle for any, sustained amount of time is pretty slim. So this just helps to smooth it out a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to look a lot better than what we've got. The next thing we can do is do the same with the RL. So I'm going to move this one out a little bit and get our RL loop and put another one here. And this one is going to be at 80 degrees. And this one is going to be at 100 degrees. And that's just doing the same thing on the other side. So that's pretty much as good as we can do in a short amount of time for the running animations. It's gonna look pretty slick. But let's also do some work on the walk animations. So I think we can do a similar thing with this loop FR to loop RR. And actually what we want to do is get the walk loop RR, and we want to blend to it a little bit quicker. So we're going to put another one about here, and we're going to make its direction 55, so 10 degrees after this 45 degree angle. And this just means that when he starts to walk diagonally forward to the right and then all the way to the right, you can see it's a little bit awkward in between there, but it's just going to blend more quickly to that full right walking there. And we can do a similar thing on the other side by getting our back left and placing another one 10 degrees to the left of this LR. So we can get our walk loop BL, and we're going to place it about here, and the direction is going to be -100. Let's have a look at how that looks. And you can see it's kind of snaps very quickly to that different animation as we pass through that rotation there, the direction. But during gameplay, it's going to be pretty hard to notice. And like I said, the purpose of this is just to make it look a little bit nicer than the sort of one-directional blend space that we've got so far. Okay, so that'll do us for now. This blend space is a sort of more than sufficient placeholder for our walk run blend space. So let's apply this in our animation blueprint. The first thing we're going to need to do is head to our event graph, and here where we've collapsed the set velocity and ground speed nodes, we can enter into here, and we're just going to get something that calculates the direction of our character. So what we can do is drag off of velocity here and calculate direction. It will be this bottom one here, target is anim instance, not this one that says target is Kismet animation library. Target is anim instance right here, calculate direction. And for base rotation here, we can drop down our references in the variables and get our character reference and get actor, rotation. Plug this into base rotation here, and then we can drag off of the return value and promote this to a variable, call it direction. Plug this in here. And now we have access to our character's direction. So we can head back to our anim graph and locomotion and crack open walk run right here. And I'm going to get rid of this old walk run blend space, and I'm going to find my new BS underscore tray walk run. Plug this in here, plug the ground speed into speed, and grab direction, plug that into direction, and that is all we need to do. So if we hit play, and actually just before I hit play, guys, a little tip here: if you're exhausting your video memory here like me, something you can do to mitigate this while you're testing in the Pi is just change your viewport here to unlit, and that will significantly reduce the demand on your GPU. So I can hit play now. And I'm actually going to move over here away from all of these weapons and other models over here, because the character actually sort of collides with those pickups a little bit and can make testing a little bit tricky. So we can test out the running a little bit. It's a little bit hard in this like small amount of space, but you can see that it looks a lot better than it did. And if I hold the right mouse button to go into the aim state, so we've got this slow walk speed, we can test out this blending a little bit. And like I said, it's not perfect. You can see when I go from left to back left, it can be a little bit jarring, but pretty much all of the other directions are blending together quite nicely. And when you're running around and you're playing the game, you know, it's not going to be as noticeable. It actually looks a lot better than what we had. And that's all we set out to do today, guys. If this has been of any use or value to you whatsoever, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.